It isn't the customer's job to know what they want. And whose job is it? And how do we find out? What Steve Jobs meant with that is that if people would actually know how to fix their problems, they would be doing it. So it's our job to fix the problems for people that they can't fix for themselves. And we want to do that because we want to make people happy. Happy means we want to move people from a bad space emotionally, fear, anxiety, hate, into a good space emotionally, which is happiness. And how are we going to do that? By putting ourselves in our customers' shoes. So we're going to experience as much as possible what they experience, so we understand what their fears and their anxieties are, so we can address it. Welcome to the Think Club, your place to co-create with other dreamers, ideators and innovators. My name is David, the founder of the Think Club, and I'm looking forward to bring KYC with empathy to you tonight. First, my apologies, we had some technical issues, so we might have some people joining us later through a different link. But anyway, if you like what you hear, see, then please like below, subscribe and share with your friends. And for anyone watching that later, wasn't able to join us live, my apologies. I promise to get better with YouTube. So the topic of tonight is empathy. What is empathy, and why is it so important to be empathic when we want to learn what our customers need? Empathy is the capacity to understand or feel what another person is experiencing from their own point of view. So it's not about us, it's all about them. That's what Clint Eastwood said. And to put ourselves in our customers, in our user shoes, we have to get rid of our egos. We have to suppress our ego. Because when we talk about ourselves, when we talk about our own fears or think about our own fears and emotions, we won't be receptive for our customers and clients, users' fears and emotions. And the more we take our ego back, the more absorbable for the information that is presented to us we are. And it all comes back to when we're in the space of ego. We were talking about Maslow's hierarchy in the last video. When we're talking about ego, we satisfy our esteem needs, the second highest level of needs. And in respect of not listening to our users and our clients, it is all about recognition. When we, for example, when we interrupt our users that we're talking to and tell them that yes, that's exactly what we think as well and what we already know, we are seeking for recognition, and we have to stop this because it's not about us; it's all about them. We have to suppress our esteem needs to actually address the psychological, the physiological, the safety needs, as well as the love and belonging needs of our clients. And when we do that, for the time being, we will create better products and services for our clients, and therefore we will get more recognition and more respect and more self-esteem later on in the future. Get to know your customer through research. So how are we going to research? We observe. Like a spy, like a scientist, you could say. We define who we want to observe, so we do not get distracted with other people that are in the vicinity of our target customer. So we define exactly who we want to help. And then we look at what are they doing and how are they doing it. It is important that we're always staying focused. So we absorb everything they do, and they say we do make notes, so we can actually go back in the future. We can go back to the time when we actually observed them and say, okay, does that still match with what we really saw there, or did we get distracted? So we make notes to absorb more data and to be able to convey data to other people, and as well to actually control for ourselves that we're keeping on track down the development process. And very important, we do not interfere with the people that we observe. We interfere as little as possible. Let's say it like this. As soon as we actually are observing, we're sort of interfering already, but we're not going to help them with any of the challenges in the observing state of designing, because we want really to see and experience their troubles as realistic as possible. So we have to hold back and really just accept the role of the observer. And we can also take pictures to help us with creating a more rounded set of data of our observations. A picture often says more than 1,000 words. So pictures alone won't do the job. Words alone might not be 100% sufficient, but a combination of pictures from people in the situation, like these three young people trying to navigate their way through via a mobile app. When we take the picture and we describe what it is, this explains the situation and the troubles quite good to us. Like in this case, it is hard for three people to interact with the same smartphone, with the same tablet at the same time. The why lies below the surface. What we see is very superficial, and we have to dig deeper. We have to understand why people are behaving the way they behave, why they're doing things the way they are doing it, what is their intention. And most of the time it's an emotional force that drives them to do specific things and to do specific things in a certain way. So we always want to dig deeper, and we do this by not relying on just the things that we can see, but also by interpreting, by understanding, by digging deeper why the people are behaving like they do. Observing people for a longer time is quite time consuming. You need a lot of people to condense it in time, or you have to extend your research period far out. Another option would be that you're not taking the notes yourself, but you're handing the note taking and the observation to the customer, to your client yourself. So they start to write a journal about their days or about a certain situation during the days that you want to know more about. And of course they can add pictures, photos to that journal. They can draw certain things that they struggle with during the day. They can also, of course, write down what was really enjoyable for them. That gives us a lot of insights as well. And yes, in that way we can basically scale it up quite big. We can ask 10, 20 people to do the journaling for 1 week in parallel, and then we only have to process the data. Whereas obviously if we want to get data from 10 people through our personal observation, it would take us 10 weeks, or we would have to have 10 people doing the observations in parallel. Journaling can happen in handwriting on a sheet of paper in a journal, or it can definitely be on a digital platform as well. And then there is interviewing. We can invite people to have interviews with them. The benefit of that is that we get really a lot of information in a short period of time. The critical thing about it is that the information might not be as pure as it was when people are actually having the problem or the challenge that they're facing. Because as further we're separated from the actual event that we want to research, the actual situation, our memories fade away, and we start interpreting and filling the gaps with our own memories, and those memories do not necessarily have the of coming from the same timestamp, right? And we often do not know exactly our emotions anymore either. But when we interview, we want basically get to know the same things that we get from observing people, users, clients. We want to define who we're going to interview, so that our target customer group is met properly. We want to know what they're struggling with and how they are doing, how they're experiencing when they're struggling with a certain situation. We mentioned that the secret sauce, the real pain is underneath the surface. So what we want to ask is a lot of why questions. For example, let's say, how did you sleep last night, David? I say, not that good. Got awake a couple of times. You want to ask why. Then I would say, yeah, probably I was a bit nervous because I go onto Facebook, onto YouTube Live again. And you would ask again, why? And I would say, yeah, last time I struggled a little bit with the technology. This time I'm pretty confident, but yeah, it's not second nature to me yet. Dig deeper. Why? So when you use the why questions long enough, you will find emotions at the bottom of them. Good or bad emotions, both is equally good for you. Of course, if people are already happy, there is nothing for you to resolve for them. So if you find their situations and their circumstances that causes them bad emotions, by digging deeper with why questions, that's definitely beneficial for you to identify how to help, what the areas are where those people could use your help properly. Be attentive. So when we do interviews with our teams, we normally have two people, one running the interview and the other person taking the notes. So if I'm the person that is running the interview, I do not have to look down onto my sheets and write down and hold the interviewee back in answering. We want the interviewee to have a natural flow in speaking, and we only want to slow him down or slow them down and interrupt them when we want to dig deeper with a why question. Another option would be to record your interview, which is obviously quite a good alternative right now, since we're all online and on live streaming platforms. Recording works beautifully with most video platforms, so you can have a one-on-one interview, you record it, and later on you go through the video again, take your notes, and go from there. And we want to listen empathically to our interviewee. We do not want to show our own emotions. Again, that's ego. We suppress our ego. We keep a neutral, friendly face. We acknowledge everything that the interviewee is telling us. we try as good as we can to understand the emotions of the interviewee when they describe a certain situation, a certain event that causes them emotions of sorts. We do not show our own emotion. That's the difference in between being emotional and empathical. We understand the other person's emotion without showing our own emotions, because again, showing our own emotions would probably cause the interviewee to adjust what they're saying. If they feel that their story is troubling us, gets close to us, they might actually not go that far more into detail and go deeper into their own emotions just to protect us, and that's something we have to avoid. We want the purest information that we can get from them. And when you do that for the first time, you schedule an interview probably for 30 to 60 minutes, you will figure out that empathic, attentive listening is really hard work, and it requires some training. So I would recommend to start with shorter interviews where you train to listen empathically, or you can basically train it whenever you talk to a friend or family member. Just listen without starting a discussion, and really trying to ask why questions a lot to really dig deeper and immerse yourself into the emotions of your interviewee. And then we have basically the holy grail of understanding your customer, your user with empathy, and that is body storming. Those three gentlemen wanted to understand better how their pregnant wives, feel what they have to deal with in their daily life with the added weight that they have to carry around in the final stages of the pregnancy. So they decided to volunteer to wear those ones for a complete week, day and night. And it was quite a eye-opening experience for them. Obviously, the hormones are not involved in it, but recognizing how much more physical strain it is onto a body to be highly pregnant definitely helps to understand the female side of the pregnancy much better. And you can body storm basically with anything. You can body storm running how to find your way through a city, how you navigate through a city or a landscape. You can body storm how you, for example, travel in a bus or a train or an airplane. And you can body storm how handicapped, disabled people are dealing with our daily life situations. There is even technology out there that shrinks you down and allows you to experience the world around you out of the eyes of a 7-year-old. So there's quite interesting technology out there that helps you really to immerse into the world, into the daily life, into the challenges your users and customers do have to deal with. And if you have the ability to do so, it can really be eye-opening, I want to say. I will put some links to more YouTube videos about body storming into the description, so you get a better idea of the different methods that can be used. I don't have any special talent, I'm only passionately curious. And that's what we all have to be. His curiosity drove Albert Einstein to the highest heights of research and understanding the world and the universe. And we have to be passionately curious about the the worries of our users to really understand them. Again, we're taking ourselves back, our own emotions, and we really just want to learn what are their struggles and their challenges in life. And then we will have a good base to actually identify how to help those people and make a real difference in their worlds. Which brings us already to the end of this week's presentation. We started a little late, so that's all good. As every week, we will have a challenge. You're invited to join us, and if you do not know the details of all of that, look at my earlier videos. Please have a look there. All the details are explained there, or join us on our Facebook group. We'll share the link below in the description of this video as well. So what we do now, you've learned the theory. It's up to you to apply it in one of your current projects. And for this week, I would like for you to do some research for a persona that you've already defined, or you can still define it, a person, a placeholder for a person, or example of a person that you want to help with your services. And I want you to come up with observations about their lives and their struggles. Some key points. Does not have to be very excessive, but that you get an idea of what struggles them and what is really deeper underneath the surface behind their struggles. And then second task for this week is to create an empathy map for said persona. And an empathy map is looking like this. An empathy map is basically describing the whole environment, the whole circumstances your ideal client, your ideal customer is living in. It describes what your user, your customer thinks and feels. It describes what they hear, what their friends and families and work colleagues, managers, bosses, and even social media influencers are telling them. It's about what they see. When they go out, what do they see in their environment, in their world? What visual influences are they having in their lives? We describe this. And very important, we describe on the empathy map what do our ideal customers say and do. What are their actions in their daily life, and how do they describe the actions in their daily life? And we're putting a lot of attention there on listening to the wording that they're using. Is it a positive, a negative wording? Where is emotion behind when they explain how they're dealing with their situation? And those are the emotions that we can actually put into the pains section down there. What hurts our ideal customer? What frustrates them? What are the obstacles that they're facing when they are doing the specific task that we want to help them with? And obviously the gains are what are the desires of our customers? What do they already know that they want to have, but also what can we read out of all the information that we've gathered? What would make a big difference in their lives? As said, if they would know all the answers and how to implement it, they would already have started it. If there are obstacles for them with the implementation, that is something that we can help them with. So yes, those are your exercises for this week. Find out what are the pain points of your actual client or your ideal client, and then create an empathy map where you aggregate all that information. I will share some links to templates and examples for empathy map as well. in the comments below as soon as the video is published, so you might want to come back in about 24 hours and you will find all the links below. But obviously in the chat, I will jump onto the chat soon and you can ask any more questions that you might have on the chat as well. This is our credo at the Think Club. Innovation is the implementation of an idea that is creating perceived value. And with KYC, Know Your Customer with Empathy, it's all about understanding what would be perceived value for our ideal customers. That's what we get started with, and from there we will over the next 2 weeks learn how to come up with solutions that will address those needs and will create perceived value for our customers. Until then, stay safe and stay awesome.